Joe Schmit from KSTP-TV along with Tom Pelissero from 1500ESPN.com as we do this little sports wrap online. We just got done hearing from Brett Favre and hearing from Leslie Frazier. The Giants coming to town, and Brett Favre is the big story once again. Will he play or won't he play? I'll give you my guess right now. Wednesday afternoon, he'll be playing.
We've heard the same thing from Brett Favre over and over, which is if I don't feel as though I can operate at a high level, if I don't feel like I'm 100% can make every throw, I'm going to hold myself out. But here's the bottom line. When it comes right down to it, it's hard to believe that a Brett Favre has any chance, feels he has any inkling that he can play, that he's not going to be on the football field. He can say, I'm going to know by Friday, but that's 48 hours before game time. I think we're going to go right up until it once again, and we're going to find out on game day whether or not he's going to be able to go.
And the interesting thing is they're taking on the Giants, and the Giants have an incredible pass rush. They've knocked out a few quarterbacks this year. So if there's ever a time you want your quarterback to be able to move and get away from the pass rush, it will be this week at the Metrodome against the Giants. Yeah,
taking it objectively, you'd think that Tavares Jackson would be the guy who would make more sense. But again, there's so many other things that play with Brett Favre. It's a big difference. Let's not forget, it's a patchwork offensive line right now. You have Steve Hutchinson. We're not exactly sure how it's going to play out with his broken thumb. You already have a backup starter in Ryan Cook at right guard. You really have no depth in that unit. You can end up with a scenario here where you've got a very, very good Giants front going up against the Vikings front that's not at anything close to 100% in front of a quarterback who can barely move and may take one bad shot and goes down.
Let's talk a little bit about Leslie Frazier, because I will have to say the one thing he's been able to do in the 2 games as the head coach is get this team to focus on what's happening right now, right in front of you. But as this season progresses and as the playoff hopes diminish, you think he's going to be able to keep the focus on the game ahead?
I think that with every win, it becomes easier to convince them that next week. We don't know exactly what's going to happen if and when they lose a game. And look at this coming stretch here. You got the Giants, then the Bears, and the Eagles. That's an awfully tough 3-game stretch against teams that do have something to play for. There's a chance the Vikings could beat the Giants, go to 3-0 under Leslie Frazier, and could be eliminated from the playoff contention the same day. It's actually a pretty good chance that that could happen. So at that point, then we'll find out a little more. But I'm really interested to see, just against a better team, what happens. Because Washington is dead and buried. Buffalo, we found out, was not a good football team. The Giants are a team that could be in the playoffs come January. Let's see how he's able to extract what he can from his unit this week.
Well, especially when you take a look. I mean, you can't lay everything on Brad Childress because this team had some flaws for the first 12 games of the season, too. It's not like all of a sudden the magic wand was waved when Leslie Frazier became the head coach. So some of those flaws will come out, especially against the better competition.
Well, and that's exactly it. Look at what the Packers did to that secondary. You can't tell me that suddenly Leslie Frazier takes over, who was the defensive coordinator, and those guys will be able to play at a higher level. You've got Asher Allen playing outside where he doesn't belong. You're working in guys like Frank Walker and Lito Shepard, who really would ideally not be on the field for your defense at this time of year. You have the offensive line with a bunch of holes, and your receivers continue to be nicked up. Percy Harvin, we don't know when we're going to see him on the practice field this week. It's this ongoing thing, and yeah, you think the teams that are at a higher level are going to be able to exploit those weaknesses a little more, but you look at the Giants, they've got a few nicks of their own. They've got a problem at left tackle. They've got problems in the receiving core right now. We're just going to have to find out exactly which team shows up on both sides.
You know, Tom, I can get you a pair of $10 sunglasses for next time we do one of these things.
I'd appreciate that. You know, you're kind of outdoing me here with not being able to squint to the sun.
My future's so bright I got to wear shades. This has been Sports Wrap Online with Joe and Tom.